Why rent to rent is a brilliant property business. Hello, my name's Mark Fitzgerald. It's fantastic to have you join me here at the Property Unleashed. So I'm going to go through my 10 reasons why rent to rent is such a brilliant property business for you to get started in right now. So at number 1, it's an easy one, but it is a low cost setup. I train people how to find rent to rent deals, good deals that don't cost an arm and a leg to set up. So as far as setting up a business, as building yourself a business, it can cost you a fortune out there, depending on the industry that you're in. But sometimes you need inventory, you need stock, you need premises, you need all of those things. You don't need all of those things when it comes to rent. All you really need is to know what you're doing, is to be able to set the properties up for whatever strategy it is you're wanting to do. And if you're doing rent to rent and you're offering your landlords a guaranteed rent, you will probably or more than likely be looking at serviced accommodation, holiday lets, Airbnb type properties, or HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, where you will be letting the properties out on a room by room basis. So you may not need a big pot of money to get started. Now, serviced accommodation may cost you a little bit more than taking on existing HMOs. Why? Because HMOs that are existing are of course already set up. They should have all the compliances in place. They should have, all the documentations, the licenses and all of that, and probably furniture and things. Now, sometimes the furniture can be a little old. Sometimes if it's old students, it can be mismatched and you may want to put some new furniture in there. But there's ways that you can budget for this. There's ways that you can do this that don't cost you a fortune. And the same goes for serviced accommodation, of course, as well. If you take on a property that is potentially already empty, you will have to furnish it. Now, you might need a better spec, so to speak, when it comes to serviced accommodation, because you really want it to be sort of bespoke and depending on the type of clientele that you're going to be marketing to, but it's still a relatively small outlay, a relatively small cost. Number 2 is predictable cash flow. If you're doing serviced accommodation or you're doing the HMO strategy with the rent to rent strategy, then it's about knowing your numbers. But if you take on existing HMOs, you will know the rents that you can get in. You will know how much profit you can make. Once you've paid for the utilities, once you've paid the owner, you will know fully tenanted what you will be making. And of course, you can evaluate your numbers if you have a void. So if I have a void, potentially I won't be making this much anymore, but we need to make sure that we are making some money. So you set yourself up in the right manner there. Again, with serviced accommodation, you will be able to make it relatively predictable. If you know what works in your area, you know what nightly rates you can have, you can play with that, of course, as well, but you will have more predictable cash flow. Now, if you're doing serviced accommodation and it's a holiday making area, then you know for a fact that in the winter times you're probably not going to make as much as you are in the summer times. So you've got to go for it more in the summer and maybe sit out the winter. But if you go in normal cities, i.e. not holiday destinations, you can be pretty much consistent all year round. So predictable cash flow is really, really good. There's always people that need to live somewhere. There's always people that want to stay somewhere. So you can build up predictable cash flow, monitoring how it goes each year, and then knowing each and every year as it comes through, this is what we should be able to predict for this month, and you can start to really build or scale a business through that sort of knowledge. Number 3, you don't need to own the properties. You don't need to pay massive deposits to buy properties. You don't have to wait for solicitors to help you and help you get the sales over the line, estate agent fees, all of those sort of things. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to get involved in any of that. The properties are not your properties. You're managing the properties. You're looking after the properties as if they're your own. And you need to make sure you know what you're doing. And we help people with that. We have the rent-to-rent business builder, which can take you from complete novice to building up an HMO rent-to-rent business. And we also have this ultimate serviced accommodation business builder training program as well that'll help you set up, manage and run serviced accommodation, not just in HMOs, but in a whole host of other strategies as well. So we are here to help you at the Property Unleashed. So do visit thepropertyunleashed.com and pick up the free ebooks that we have there for you. HMO Business Builder, we have an ebook for that, and of course we have the ultimate serviced accommodation as well as a deal analyzer to make sure that your deals are good deals. So check out thepropertyunleashed.com once you've watched this video. So let's make sure that we know what we're doing, and of course we don't have to buy the properties. So if you're looking at starting this as a business, and let's just say for argument's sake you haven't got any money, this is a great business to start bringing in money so that you can buy properties later on, or other businesses, or whatever it is that you want to buy. But you don't need massive amounts of money. And even when you're starting out, I still see a lot of people actually get caught up saying, I need 10 grand, I need 20 grand to start this off. I show people how to do this for 500 quid at the end of the day. Yes, you do need some money. This isn't a no money down strategy by any means, or a no money down business by any means. You will need some money, but you don't necessarily have to have all that money to hand. You could potentially borrow the money. You could get a loan for the money at the end of the day, because this is going to be a business, and a business needs to have cash flow. So if you know and you get predictable in the cash that you've got coming in, then of course, if you did go out there and borrow some money or get a loan or anything like that to help you scale this business, it is safe in the knowledge that you know what's coming in, what reoccurring income you'll have month on month. At number 4, it's about being flexible, having flexibility in where you work from. You're not tied down to an office. You don't have to stay at home. You don't have to be anywhere in particular. You can run a rent-to-rent business from anywhere. As long as you've got a phone is all you really need. A laptop will help as well. But at the end of the day, you can manage and run a rent-to-rent business anywhere. So you don't have to have big, outlays for offices and things like that, like estate agents or letting agents do, because you can be very mobile in what you're doing. And that gives you flexibility to be able to work anywhere in the world. Now, when I say anywhere in the world, when you're starting out, you do really want to try and be as close to the properties as possible. You may not want them in the same street as where you live, but if you did, that would make life nice and easy. But at the end of the day, I try not to travel more than 45 minutes from where I'm based to any of my properties when I was starting out. Now I can do it more remotely. I can go out further because I have people that work for us as well. And of course you build that up in those areas. So you build up your systems as you systemize your business. So of course, at the end of the day, you can go and live abroad and keep having a successful rent-to-rent business. So it gives you that flexibility. And of course, at number 5, there's high profits to be had here. You will earn more than a conventional letting agent will be. And of course, if you can do good deals, and I always say a deal isn't a deal unless it's a deal, because the numbers have to stack. It has to be a win for you, but it has to be a win for the landlord or the agent or whoever it is you're working with. And everybody needs to earn their money. So when you are looking at stacking your deals, and this is where I work very closely with my own students, they actually send me on a spreadsheet their deals so that I can have a look at the numbers to make sure that the deals stack, to make sure that they work, because there's no point in getting tied up in bad deals. You'll see it in the press all the time. Potentially a rent-to-renter hasn't looked after a property properly. And at the end of the day, it may have ended up in court. Now, a lot of people get scared off by that. But you know what? If you know what you're doing, if you set yourself up for success, if you set yourself up compliantly and you actually do and follow through with what you say you're going to do, you'll never have these problems. Any business can end up in court if they do a bad job for their customers, for their consumers. And rent to rent is no different. And you could say, well, I don't want to end up in court. You won't end up in court if you're doing your job properly, if your business is running properly. And that's what we show our clients, our students, how to set themselves up and how to do this compliantly, doing good deals, making sure that it's profitable for everybody. And of course, you don't need 100 properties to potentially replace your wage or give you more time freedom. With rent to rent, you may only need 5 properties. 5 landlords potentially is all you need to find. And I bet you wouldn't even have to do that. You may only need to find 2. 2 landlords could provide you with 5 properties, because landlords do tend to have more than 1 property at a time. First landlord I dealt with had 2 properties. The next one had 1, and then the next one had 3. So at the end of the day, I was up to 6 properties with 3 landlords very easily. and very quickly as well. And that all happened once I'd started to get the deals rolling through in about the course of 3 months. You can scale this and make it very profitable very, very quickly. Number 6 is all about scaling it. So if you're looking at scaling a business, making sure that you get it up so that it serves you, not enslaves you, and brings you in the money that you need to make the changes in your life that you want, you can do so. It took me 4 months to get my first deal. It took me 6 months, because deals started to come after those 4 months, to replace my corporate wage. It took me 8 months to double my corporate wage. Double it in 8 months. Out of the rat race and everything. So you can scale this very, very quickly. And of course, you can do that with HMOs. You can do that with serviced accommodation as well. Or you can do it with both. I would say pick one of those strategies to start with. Nail it. Start bringing in the revenue that you want, and then move on to different strategies if that's what you want to do. You don't have to do that, but if that's what you wanted to do, then of course. So either start with serviced accommodation or start with HMOs. You can still look at all the different properties, and of course you can still do both, but just make sure that you're not running around trying to do everything. So at number 7, it's low investment. Rent to rent is a low investment strategy. We shouldn't be looking at putting big chunks of money in. There's a lot of older per se rent to rent people out there, or teachers or trainers that have spent £10,000, £15,000 on their properties. That's ridiculous. You shouldn't be doing that at all, because you don't own the properties. I have, and I show my students how to do good deals with landlords where potentially they're happy to put a bit more money into their properties. Why? Because we look after them. We maintain them to the standard that we get them in. We don't want to be, the old method of rent to rent is look for a property that's potentially got a couple of rooms downstairs that you can convert into a bedroom and chuck a bed in it and spend some money, get an HMO license. Look for houses that aren't HMOs if you're going down that route. I say look for existing HMOs. Half the work, or near enough all of the work, has been done for you. So why not take those on with low setup costs? And serviced accommodation, of course, as well, which is another rent to SA, as we like to say. Is all about, you may very well need to put the furniture in there, but there's also ways, and we show people ways of how you can structure deals where the landlords will actually put the furniture in it. They will pay for it all, and you will then take it on. How do you do this? Well, it's quite easy at the end of the day, but you just need to know the steps to follow. So the ultimate serviced accommodation business builder training program will show you that. And of course with the HMOs, the rent to rent business builder training program will show you that. And of course both of them have great communities as well. So follow this channel, listen to the podcast, watch the YouTube videos as well, because I'm always sharing my little tips and tricks on how you can do this, of course, as well, and keep those costs low. You shouldn't be putting lots and lots of money into other people's properties, okay? If they're not willing to put any money in themselves, then that's down to them. So at number 8, rent to rent is a fantastic strategy if you want to get out of the 9 to 5, if you want to replace the day job, if you don't want to work for anybody else anymore. Now, what I will tell you is you cannot just get some rent to rent deals, go and sit on a beach and forget about everything. It will take work. It will take damn hard work to begin with, okay? Let's not forget this. You are going to have to put effort into it. You are going to have to work, okay? I see a lot of people again out there which are trying to sell you a dream. If you want to build a business, you make this your business, you're going to have to put the effort in to do so. But it's so rewarding. And it's not like working a 9 to 5 job. You work for yourself. When I started my rent to rent business, it meant I could take my kids to school. I could pick them up from school as well, which meant the world to me, because in my corporate job I couldn't go to their sports days, I couldn't go and watch their plays or anything like that. I missed a lot of my kids growing up, which is one of the main reasons I wanted to be successful with rent to rent, that I wanted to scale this business so that I could have more time freedom to spend the time with the people that I love. And I do now, and it's so rewarding. And you can do the same. You just need to put the work in at the beginning, make sure that you set this up, it's profitable, it's scalable, it's yours, and then you quit that job. You can do this alongside a full-time job if you need to. I would say it's probably actually easier and better to do this alongside a full-time job at the end of the day, because you haven't got that worry at the end of the day that I've got to find deals quickly because I'm going to run out of money and things. If you've got the money coming in from your day job, then that's brilliant. Keep that money coming in and then make sure that you're building this business alongside it so that it's sustainable for the future. And that brings us to number 9, which is time freedom. At the end of the day, money comes and goes. We only have so much time on this planet. You'll have heard me say that a few times before, but it really is about having time freedom. Rent to rent as a business is not a 9-to-5 job. There are times where you'll be very, very busy and it can feel like it's never ending. And that's normally in the beginning when you're setting things up, particularly if you don't know what you're doing. But if you do know what you're doing and you follow a clear path laid out for you, then you can set this up and you can systemize this very, very quickly. But again, it's not a factor that you have to start at 9 o'clock in the morning and you have to finish at 5 o'clock. What you might find is there'll be days where you don't have to do anything. There could be weeks where you potentially don't even have to do anything. If you're doing HMOs, once the tenants are in there, realistically, unless they've got a major problem or there's a maintenance issue which can be dealt with by a few phone calls, it's not going to take you 8 hours to sort things out. Serviced accommodation is a bit more labor intensive in that you will have to be looking at your revenue management. You will have more people coming and going at a shorter pace, potentially over the weekends and then weeks and things. So there will be more work involved. But of course, once you get it to a decent level, you can start to outsource that work to potentially VAs, to potentially PAs, and potentially viewings agents or something like that that can do all of those sort of things for you. So you can systemize this, you can make sure that it works for you in the background, and it is no way near as many hours as you are going to do working for somebody else if you're working full-time. So at number 10, lastly, rent to rent is a great strategy for people looking to get started in property. People that don't have massive pots of money to be able to buy property. Property is expensive, we know that. But rent to rent is a great way to cut your teeth. To cut your teeth in property and to be able to start to build a successful business that potentially you can build it up, you can get the cash flow from it, you could sell it in the future, you can use the profits to buy properties for yourself and build up your own portfolio. That's what I'm doing. You know, the world's your oyster. It gets you in the game at the end of the day, and for very little outlay, as long as you set yourself up properly and you do it properly. And I always recommend that you get yourself out there and you follow somebody who's already done what it is that you want to do. And as I always say here, you will hear me say, visit thepropertyunleashed.com, visit it. Download the freebies, the free guides. There will be free masterclasses. Watch those. Make sure this is a business that you want to get into. And if you do, we make it so cost effective for you to get started. And I'll tell you now, I've got students at the moment who have actually, with their first deal, they've made back the money that it cost them for the training, yet they keep the training forever, they keep in the community forever, they've always got the help and support that they need. Nobody else is offering this out there, I'll be quite honest with you, but we do this because we genuinely, and I genuinely, want to see you succeed. I want to help people, and I want to help people do this properly. I want to help people set themselves up in the right manner, give rent to rent a good name, build a sustainable business that could be potentially a legacy piece for whoever they want to leave it to in the future. And that's what it's all about, and that's why I love this great business. But you do have to do it right. There are plenty of mistakes that you can make out there, so why make timely and costly mistakes when you can just follow a proven path to get it right? So visit thepropertyunleashed.com, download the free resources, have a look for yourself and see what you think, and make sure it's right for you, because times will be hard. Okay, I'm not going to stand here on any of my videos or podcast episodes and say it's going to be easy, you're going to find deals straight away, you're going to set them up and you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank. It is going to be tricky. There are times where things will happen that will scare you, that will worry you. But if you're in the right community, And you can ask those questions and you can say, I've got this problem, how do I deal with this? And you've got people there in the community that can answer you and help you and guide you and push you in the right direction. And you've got other people there that are in the same boat as you, trying to strive forward. It helps push you forward. It helps you get the results that you want. So I hope this episode has helped you today. I hope you do go and check out thepropertyunleashed.com. And if you do get some free resources there, or you get something from my website or from my videos or from my podcast episodes or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or on Instagram. I'll never message you first, but you can message me, ask me any questions, or send us an email to hello@thepropertyunleashed.com that you're interested in any of the products, and a member of my team, or potentially even myself, will be happy to have a chat with you to see if we can help you push yourself to the next level, get you out of that 9-to-5 job, start building a bit of wealth, start getting started in property, and start building a successful rent-to-rent business. You take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.